Hi and welcome to Living in America. Today I'm going to talk about credit scores, something that I was really not used to when I first got to America. But over the last 4 years, I really learned more about it. And therefore, I would like to answer 4 questions for you. First of all, what is a credit score? Why does it matter? Then we're going to look into how the whole scoring works. And last but not least, we're going to talk about challenges as a new arrival immigrant, or in my case, just coming over here on a work visa, how I dealt with the score and when it mattered. So let's jump in. So credit score basically is a number that each person with a social security number here in the States gets. And that number is basically determining your credit worthiness, or kind of the likeliness of you paying your bills. So who cares about that number? Well, everybody who's going to give you money. So lenders in general, such as banks, care about it. Credit card companies care about it. Insurance companies care about it. Um, uh, Also, maybe something a little bit smaller, but your mobile phone provider. It could be utility companies. So there's quite a range of areas. If we are looking at the loan, for example, or a credit card in that case, the number is super important to determining, first of all, your credit limit that you get, and or a loan amount if we're talking about a loan, and also in a loan scenario, the interest rate. So that number could actually really be important when you want to close on a house, or you just have some larger purchases, or you want to buy a car or something like that. So having good scores can save you money in the long term. All right, so here we just covered, first of all, what it is and why it matters. Now let's jump into a little bit more of the scoring and how that part works. I'm gonna share my screen with you so I can give you a little bit more of a visual here. So there are multiple ways on how you determining someone's credit worthiness. A very common one is the so-called FICO credit score. There are various versions of it, but I would say, in my experience living here in the States, this is the most common score. So here's how it works. Basically, you get rated. The scale is from 300 to 850. Depending on the source, some say kind of 700 is the magical number, from whether you're good or kind of an okay score. National average is around 690 to 700. So I think it's quite an accurate number here. What's interesting to see, of course, the big question is, well, how does the US do in general, and where do people land on that scale here? And here, forgive me the blurry graphics, but here you can see from 2018 for one of the FICO score, the score 8, you can see kind of the range. So you can roughly divide it in 5 categories. You see that, for example, 25% are in the area of 240 to 299, 20% are in the absolute top range of 800 and more. I'm going to show you now one real example of a credit score. You can see this is actually from the same person, and depending on where you get the score from and how they score it, you get a totally different score. There's definitely a range. You can see here it's from 776 to 801. So there's always even a range for the same person. Now, what are factors, or how is this score determined? So there's basically 6 main factors. The first one is the payment history. So they're going to look at, have you paid your bills? The second one is going to be the credit card utilization. So let's say you get a credit limit of $10,000. What those credit bureaus would look at is, how much is your open balance? So let's say your open balance is $1,000 of unpaid credit card items that or balance that you have occurred. So that will give you a credit card utilization of 10%. Derogatory marks. So that means if you have ever been into collection, or there's any other public record about you, Then we have the age of the credit history. We're going to talk a lot more about that, because that's a big challenge when you arrive in the US, because you don't have a history, right? But that basically means kind of, you know, whenever you opened up a credit card or a loan, and the longer they have seen you making payments, the better. Total accounts, you know, of course, if you have 10 credit cards and 5 loans, that gives them more information compared to having just one credit card. And then the last but not least is hard inquiries. So basically every time if someone runs your credit, that means that a lender would pull your credit from the credit bureau, those get counted. And the goal is to not have too many inquiries. All right. So looking at these 6 factors, we can actually weigh them, and not all of them are as important as the top 3. So payment history, credit card utilization, and derogatory marks, they are considered high impact. So if you are not doing well on those, for example, if you just haven't paid your bills for a while, I mean, it doesn't matter how long your credit history is. If you don't pay your bills, I mean, obviously that's going to impact your score quite a lot. That's what the score is for, to determining if you're going to pay your bills, right? Then there are medium impact items, age of credit history, and low impact items, the number of cards and the number of hard inquiries have less of an effect on your score. If we look at these things a little bit more in detail now, let's figure out what is considered a good payment history. Is it, you know, having a credit card for a month, or does it need to be 20 years or 50 years? So those ranges have been defined. Once again, it really depends as well on the credit bureau, but here is one approach. So for payment history, you can kind of see we have green, which is great. Of course, if you pay every single bill, you made every payment, you're not behind with anything, you get 100%. But I think this is an important one. You know, if you are in the less than 97% of your bills paid on time, and that means you don't really get a lot of chances to miss paying your bills here, right? And these are bills typically that you would have, for example, a credit card bill or something where someone gave you money, right? Then we have here credit card utilization. The range here is somewhere around like the 10% is kind of the sweet spot. So lenders don't want you to max out on your credit. It scares them a little bit. You know, some people that I know, they have like credit card limits of like $20,000-$30,000. So you know, the idea is don't use that entire amount. Just stay within a limit. Then the derogatory marks here, they're very strict. So I mean, if you have like collection cases or something like that, that's going to hit you as well hard. Okay, age of credit history. So the age of credit history, the magical number here is 7 years. All right. Now, in my case, I arrived 4 years ago here in the US, and I really tried to get my credit score game up and running quite early on, but that was actually a challenge. So it wasn't that easy to establish that, and there's nothing you can do if you're by yourself. If you are married to someone, or you have a spouse, then the good thing is they can actually add you to their credit cards as a co owner or co-signer. And once you're added on their account, you actually inherit their credit history. So let's say, for example, if my wife has a credit card and she had it for 10 years, right? I can also then add this 10 years to whatever other years of credit cards I have. So what they do here, they look at all your credit cards. Let's say we have 3 credit cards. One is 10 years, one is 5 years, and one is 1 year. Okay, so they would add them all up. So 10, 5, 1 is 16. Now we divide this by 3, so it's a little bit more than 5, okay? So let's say 5.3. And now your average history is 5.3 years. Okay, so that's kind of how it works. All right. Total accounts. Once again, keep in mind these are low impact numbers, so you do not need to have 21 different credit cards or 2 car loans and a house loan, but you know, the more information they have, the better. And then we have the hard inquiries. And hard inquiries, as you can see here, here the magical number, you do not want to have more than definitely 5 hard inquiries. Hard inquiries work as follows. If someone pulls your credit, right? Let's say a credit card company pulls your credit, then you have to wait 2 years for that hard inquiry to go away. So you want to be very mindful about how often you shop around for credit cards or any other things, so that you don't ramp up those inquiries too hard. And it's also something that some credit card companies are well known for being super strict on that. If they see you have 1 or 2 inquiries in the same month, they will some automatically reject you. So that's definitely something you want to be mindful here. All right, so, and that brings me kind of to some of the challenges that I have had. It was really hard initially to get actually a credit card in the US, and guess why? I don't have a credit history. So that was a fun conversation with my banker where I'm like, look, I mean, I guess that's a chicken and egg thing right here. How do I get a credit card without the score? I can't build a history. And so what we ended up doing was I actually started with a prepaid credit card. So that's one option you can get. You get a prepaid credit card, and it will also count towards your history. I really recommend to work with the same bank that you have a bank account with. That was, for me and for my friends who came here, the easiest way, easiest path to getting actually a real credit card. But I have to say the credit score is something that of a challenge. To get a phone contract, a huge challenge. They also want to see this, and with no credit history, they really don't like to give out the phone contract. Also there, sometimes you have to go through the route of becoming a customer, prepaying for a while, and then you can hopefully move on. The biggest challenge with the US credit score system is that it's all in the past, right? And so it's based on your past activities, and if you don't have them, well, that makes it really hard. Sometimes also some utilities you can opt in that they report to the credit bureaus that you make your monthly payments. And if you make your monthly payments, it's of course a great idea. Do that. I think that helps. Just to establish a certain history. And then, you know, if you're in the lucky situation like I was, and you have a spouse with a good credit history, that helps tremendously, because you can kind of tag along with some of their accounts and just be added as a co-account owner or co-card holder. All right, so that's it for this week. That's all about credit score. Feel free to leave your comments. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have. And with that, I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Thank you and have a great day.